Hello, good morning, everyone. Yeah, I think I assume that most people are still asleep because there was a great event last night that took place around the world. How many of you was actually watching the World Cup last night in this chat? Okay, wow, John is wide awake. Look at him. Actually, I slept like really early last, so I wasn't sure like what time it ended. What time did it end actually? Oh, we didn't watch a bit lah. Wow, okay. So were you guys happy that the winning team won? I assume it was Argentina, right? Okay, I woke up to Google, like, okay, who won? You guys happy? Oh, okay, happy. Wow, 120 minutes. Wow, nice, so detailed. Okay, I guess most of you, thank you so much for turning up today, even though you guys stayed up for the World Cup. For those who are still taking a bit of rest and either you're upset or still overjoyed by the win yesterday and still resting, don't worry, you can actually rewatch this when you guys are awake later. But yes, today is actually our final winning Mondays for this year, for 2022. And we're going to end it really strong today. That's why we have two very important guests joining us in this session to wrap up 2022. So what we're going to actually talk about today is about how the market will be impacted with the new economic policies. But without further ado, I'm going to just introduce our guests. I'm going to get them to introduce themselves a bit. So we have Jonathan Lee, our Group CEO of KW Malaysia, and also Cheng, President of MIEA. But everyone also actually knows what you guys do. They are quite familiar with two of you. So I'm going to ask an interesting question. I want you guys to share. All right, can you share with us one interesting fact about you that probably most of us here do not know? One interesting fact. Okay, and then you all can take that. We want to get to know you all a bit more than just who we know you all are, right? We want to know things that we do not know one. So what's one interesting fact? Okay, John can go first. I think he's still thinking, I know.
This is very tricky. What interesting fact?
Interesting fact. It can be related to football, John.
Football, related to football.
For you.
For me, I used to really play competitive football when I was in my school days.
Wow.
Yes,
I was playing. What role? What?
Yes, I was a goalkeeper.
Wow. Well, see, everyone's really shocked. So John's dream was to be in the World Cup. You guys know?
No, I don't think so. I never thought of becoming a professional footballer. But yes, I was a goalkeeper because they couldn't find someone big enough to cover the goal.
Okay. But I think you were of a different size back then, right? Okay, that is in regards to football. What about a different interesting fact? I know you wanted to share something else.
One only, like you say, asked the second one already.
No, you wanted to share something else.
Okay, so those people who travel with me a lot, who has the privilege and honor to share rooms with me, normally is a guy who would know that I am a loud snore. I snore very loud. So that's why I tell people do not share room with me so that I have my own room when I travel with people in our group, right? So I snore very, very loud. Sometimes I snore until I can wake myself up. Okay, so that's an interesting fact.
Interesting. So you do not need an alarm actually.
No, I don't need an alarm.
Okay, thanks for sharing, John. Yeah, to testify to that, because some of us went on like camp retreats with him, and he will always ask for the single room because we can actually hear him even from upstairs. All right, so that's true. All right, so yeah, I think I also would like to find out what's one interesting fact about you.
Okay, good morning, Wei-Li, Jonathan, and everyone in the room today. I actually don't know. I was just cracking my head. What interesting fact that people don't know about me. So that day, there was a conversation that went through WhatsApp, right? A few of us gave some people a really nice Belgium chocolate Swiss roll cake.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So then I said, yeah, please give feedback, right, how the cake was. And that person replied and said, did you bake it? I said, wow. I said, I have a hidden talent, so hidden, I didn't even know. So no, I definitely cannot bake. Hidden talent, I cannot bake. But I think maybe one interesting fact could be, I think, that that nobody knows is actually I'm quite introverted.
Really?
Would that I don't know whether that'll come as a surprise to people, but yeah, I think
William just said what?
I mean, I don't know, maybe people could disagree, but maybe I think that I am a little bit, yeah. So I think more than extroverted as people would imagine. Yeah, I'm not sure, but
Right.
that's what I think.
Yeah, that's a very good, interesting fact. I think, yeah, maybe because as how we have known, I think we wouldn't have probably have assumed that she is introverted, right? So now we know. So okay, guys, after work hours, please don't lecture her. I think she needs her time. Okay, thanks so much for sharing the interesting facts about yourselves. I am glad that we know you guys a bit more, and hopefully every time when we have a session again in the future, we'll gain another interesting fact from you guys. Okay? All right, so now I'm going to delve into the deeper stuff, the more serious stuff of the day. So we're going to talk a bit more about the new economic policies and how it's actually going to change and impact the industry here. So we have very great people here to share insights today, because I am also wanting to find out and very curious to hear what's going on really, and what would this potentially turn what would the impact be to us here and there, especially to the agents here, right? So over the past 1 month or few months, we've seen a lot of anticipation, especially in changes in the government itself. So what are you guys' thought based on new lineup of the cabinet and also the ministers? Do you guys have any thoughts about this new lineup? Whether this is something that you're excited about? Any thoughts and comments? John, you're muted.
Okay, you want me to start first, is it?
Yes, you can
Right.
always start first today.
Okay.
Give you the
Okay,
honors.
so yes, thank you. That's what you get for snoring louder than everyone else. Okay. So my observation is this, that for the first time ever in the history of Malaysian landscape in terms of politics and leadership in the government, we now have a coalition government. That's the first observation. And in the coalition government, it's not easy to have absolute say in everything. Because you need to get all parties to be in agreement. So there's a lot of all kinds of bartering and all kinds of check and balances that signifies to me the maturity of our political landscape. That's number one. Meaning the old ways of running, only single party policy, one man say everything kind of thing, it's looking like it's not going to happen anymore. It's looking like it's changing a new phase. So that's the first observation. My second observation shows me that it is very interesting to see all parties need to figure out how to work together, but at the same time, everyone is competing among each other to win public trust. So the biggest deficit we have in our system in the past few years is public trust. So what we can see is that leadership is now trying to compete with each other to gain respect and public's trust. And you will never get 100% trust from everyone to one single group or a certain group of people. But you can see when I'm trying to earn public trust, what I normally need to do is to show up and do my work and show my performance. So one of the greatest things I can anticipate looking forward as I look at all this lineup of cabinets, what they've been doing for the past month or so. I don't know whether it's past 1 month already, you know. I think it's almost one month already. You can see they're talking a lot of things that potentially will be changing the landscape of the country a little bit. Meaning they're all competing to show up and to say that I am going to do something about it. I'm going to win public trust. So that's, to me, a very good, refreshing outlook that I see. And I see hope in that angle is because I think because of this structure of this coalition government, everybody now have a chance to kind of demonstrate themselves, right? Rather than just relying on certain powers in play. So it's really about going down to the ground and doing the work. So that's my observation. I see the lineup very exciting. I see this synergy or this dynamic of competing yet collaborating right? So it's very, very interesting dynamic that's shifting the way policies is going to be made. And I think this is a good way. If you look at more advanced economies in the world, coalition government is very common. It's very, very common, especially in the European countries, right? It's very, very common. And they can still have progress in certain things, right? So that's my observation.
So it sends a lot of excitement, a lot of hope, and especially with what you're saying, it sounds like it's maybe actions do speak louder than words, right? Like there's actually action being like now taking place. Hey, interesting.
It's not so much about the action also, it's also the structure of things are in play, meaning not one person is in charge of everything, right? There is a separation of certain powers in trying to rule and govern the country together. That's the first thing that, to me, is very critical. It's very critical. Some people say it's unstable. I believe this is a little bit more stable because you have both parties trying to come in and want to make a point and stand. Any major changes from here would not be very beneficial for anyone. Right. So I think the strive to want to hit stability structurally as a government is there, which I think to me is a lot better, clearer than our previous government. Right, post-COVID, right? Previous government during COVID, right? That was not stable. I think it's showing more stability here right now.
So that with the essence of structure, I'm hearing, right? With the essence of structure, that's giving a lot more clarity. Right, thanks for sharing, John. What about you, Ai-Ching? What are your thoughts?
Okay, I think the first thing I wanted to say about the whole lineup of cabinet and what is to start with our PM himself, our 10th PM. I think if you really learn go through the life story of how this man hang on to one vision, one mission, and how he rallied the supporters, from those days. I think could be 20 years. I think it started in 1998.
Yes. 24 years. 24 years.
Okay. Wow. So can you imagine? 1998. That's right. That's 1998 until this year only, 2022. After hanging on for so long, very resolved, never shaken, and he just kept on to one vision, and he would do anything in a way to bring that into fruition, and he did it. So I think under a leadership of such a man, I think I am very hopeful for a really good year for Malaysia. Moving forward, because you have someone who is so determined, that has the grit to carry things through. And he outrightly said already that he's going to do away with all this corruption thing, which is actually the thing that's stifling Malaysia. And I feel that with him at the helm of all this whole lineup, I am very hopeful that Malaysia will be heading in a good direction. Of course, there will be challenges. Nobody said that, because he was like, in a way, it's like, in a smaller version, it's like in MIEA, right? Let's say you're the president of MIEA and then you have the board of directors. It's the same thing. Like but of course, he's on a much bigger scale, but it's also rallying the support. Is to rally the support and having others see that vision that you see, and then translating that to them, and then hopefully that everyone will work together towards that. But one good thing that I think all the parties can agree on is that they are all looking at improving. So make things better for all of us. And they always say rakyat first. So that's really good. And what John said was very apt. He said that everybody's competing to do better, which is good. Internal competition is always healthy, not to go against each other and sabotage the other person, but actually to be complementary. And I look at the new lineup, right? Even the transport minister, he himself also went and take the LRT, right?
To really test it out, right?
Yeah, he went and tested it out, and then he said, there were some issues and things like that. That is good. That means getting onto the ground instead of sitting on your high chair and just breathing down what you think is right for the right yard. So I think the new lineup is interesting. They have a younger and more diverse group of people, so they can give us a very complete Malaysian, Malaysian environment on the ground. So I feel that's what I feel. Yeah.
Wow, so really excited, really excited, right? Because I hear from you is mainly the leadership, right? The leadership that is the driving force, and what you're seeing in the leadership is that brings in that hope, right? That things will turn out for the better, or at least you see that progress in it as well. Okay, thanks for sharing, Ai-Ching. So I'm hearing a lot of excitement from both John and also Ai-Ching about how this new lineup will actually bring hope and potential changes to the economy and whole of Malaysia, right? So hearing from both of you, what do you think of the overall outlook in terms of the economy come 2023? I mean, it's already like just 2 more weeks and we're entering to 2023. Based on what you know of now, currently, and what's upcoming, what do you guys gauge? What's happening?
So first up, just to piggyback on I Cheng's thoughts about our current Prime Minister's leadership, right? He has shown resilience and he has shown that he's not afraid to make decisions that make him not so popular. Right. And for him to form that government may not be very popular for him to certain group of people. But despite the fact that the focus is the goal, to achieve the goal, for the purpose of stability, and I think the goal was stability, the goal was not I don't think it was an individual. If it's always that kind of goal we have seen the past 2 or past couple of years, where it's based on individual, it won't last long. But this is based on the goal to stabilize. He does it, and he is very willing to make tough decisions. And that's tough. And meaning, right, what we can anticipate in the future, he may be open to make decisions that is not popular. And some of the few decisions that I think the government needs to make is the whole reevaluation of the whole entire budget. And starting with the subsidies, I think he's very clear in his initial speech and his current speech. And you can watch some of his commentaries, is really talking about how to reduce cost sara hidup, right? How to reduce the cost of living, especially for the majority, which is the B40 and some of the M20, M40 groups, right? Meaning there will be some decisions that potentially not so popular to the T20s and the M40s. And we have to be prepared for that. I'll give an example of what I think that potentially would happen is the reshuffling and the re-rationalization of all subsidies or key subsidies. So an example of a key subsidy would be petrol, gasoline, right? Petrol. So for the longest period of time, our subsidies has been very, the policy has been not a new policy, it's been an old policy. Only certain revision and certain changes in terms of certain mechanism, but generally it's like a staple policy for everyone. What I think potentially would change, this is just what I think can see, is how do they cut budget by not giving the subsidies to those who driving, the Mercedes-Benz or Lamborghinis and all that, right? Right now, everyone is benefiting, which is not the majority. So the money is spent from the treasury is not really benefiting those who can't afford.
Right.
Right. And the majority of the consumer of petrol are probably the people who drives more cars, big businesses and all that. They are spending more, they are okay to spend so much money. So those subsidies to them may not be the best way to support the lower income people. So I think focusing on the low income in the short term is what they want to do, because they want to stabilize the social economy impact that we have been experiencing for a few years. So I believe that some kind of change in the subsidies structure would impact. And so imagine this today and after Chinese New Year. I hope they do it after Chinese New Year. I hope
because you'll be traveling, right?
I hope that then our ang pao don't increase in price. So anyway, I hope because I'm the one paying ang pao. Really, you don't pay ang pao, that's why I pay ang pao. So it's expensive, right? Cost goes up. So I think what would happen is some of us will have to pay market price. Market price sticks around, I think, 374 ringgit per liter, which means there will be 100% increase, almost 100% increase in my consumption. But the potential B40 people may have a reduction. Right, because I take away the subsidy here, I may be able to reduce the petrol price to $1.50. Now, if you're SME, you're a small medium enterprise, you're a small business, you may qualify for the subsidy. So having targeted strategic approach, and this is something that already been talked about already a lot, would help realign and rebalance the whole economy again. Now, the short term is some of us will feel it and we'll stop spending for a while. We will feel it's expensive, then we just say, let's not spend, let's not go out so much. But one day we realize actually it's okay, let's go out. right?
Because you cannot stay at home for too long.
You cannot stay at home, right? So I think last time we used to pay what, $1.50 for a liter of petrol. Slowly it went up to $2.20, $2.30, right? It still goes up, right? We still go out, right? So I believe there will be certain mechanism in place to kind of come to a point where the subsidies are given to the right people. Now, this will cause us to potentially feel a little bit of inflationary pressure for a certain short period of time. But the idea to balance back the economy, so I'm using petrol as an example,
right,
is very important in the face of international observers and business people, because they want to see this, can this country manage the finances or not? Or are they just going to give handouts? I rather them balance the budget a little bit and let's take a pain, take a bite, take a little bit of a bullet, bite a bullet a little bit. But once you balance the budget, you are showing people you can manage well, you know how to put money to work in places that make sense, put resources in place that make sense. You gain confidence, because what investors are looking for is leadership. They are looking at a country based on the strength and stability of the leadership of the government. That's the number one condition. So it's just like any company today, right? The first person that they look at the company is the CEO of the company. They look at the leadership. So don't look at me now, but I'm talking about all those big companies, right? They go out there, they pitch the value, they pitch their thing to investors, right? They need to see who is leading this, how they are leading this, what this leader wants to do. And some of these things are very clear to me, right? Engaging the international names, trying to understand, tell them that, look, we've got this, we want to manage this properly. So I think in the short term, we will face quite a bit of headwind because some of this adjustment. Now, you have to adjust something. When you cut something, you will feel painful.
Yeah.
But if you don't cut, you will feel more painful around down the road. I mean, keep paying all these subsidies, or keep paying all these cash handouts are not helping the economy. You are not putting the money to use at the best impact, with the best impact. So I believe the first 6 months, brace ourselves for a challenging market, because when you reset certain policies, right, there will be certain reactions, certain emotions in play in the market. Consumer will feel it a little bit more because it affects my spending. So imagine when things go up in price, we will try to spend less. So when the whole market spend less, you will have some pressure or slow down a little bit. And I think this is in line. I think this is the right time to do it, because we are expecting global recession anyway.
Yes.
So this will help cushion that some anticipation of going into a recession from a macro and a microeconomic standpoint. So I think next 6 months is very critical for us to manage our expense. I do see some headwinds. I do see certain major or if not more impactful policies that will be passed, which is good in the long run, but in the short term, you will feel some pain. Now, how does that entail? How much does that look like? I don't know. I'm not in the cabinet, so I don't know. But I foresee the way the communication is being done, restructuring, reshuffling of subsidies, and the way they spend money to help the people will change. That's my thought.
So I'm hearing, what I'm hearing is that kind of relooking into strategizing this, but some of these policies to fit the individuals that can actually lift up some of these other groups, right?
Correct.
That could potentially be the change that will be more immediate.
Correct.
Interesting. What about you, Cheng? What are your thoughts about the outlook of the Malaysian economy? Thanks for sharing, John.
Okay, yeah, I think Jonathan mentioned many things already. Yeah, the points are all very valid. I only can add a few. I mean, whatever it is that will happen to us in the year 2023, I know we should know how the market is going and all these things, but I feel that after don't get overly caught up in it. That means don't let it disturb where you're at and where you want to go, because sometimes I know we have to adjust our sail from time to time, but don't be overly burdened by these macro things that are happening, because at the end of the day, your life and my life is not depending on the macro, right? It's still the what we do every day that counts, right? The day-to-day things that helps us with our sales, help us manage our team and things like that. So whatever will happen, we definitely need to set aside provisions for that. That means like what John said, 6 months, you have to really just conserve.
6 months.
What we meant by conserve is not like like live like very poorly, but what says to reallocate your budget. You do your own personal budget better. I know many people do not practice this budgeting for themselves. Yeah. So then they realize that after a certain while, they say, oh, I actually have no money to spend on advertising my property. Ayo, how come? And marketing. If you don't have the budget to market and to advertise your property, then how are you going to sell it? So then they go and instead they spend the money on maybe fancy food, or other things that wouldn't bring about what it would help your business. So I think you need to relook. I think the whole of Malaysia actually moving into next year need to relook at how they allocate their resources. That means the country has limited resources. Similarly, we also have limited resources. We have limited time, we have limited money, we have limited energy for that matter for some people. Yeah, so we only can do so much. So how are we going to allocate it is the same thing how the country is going to allocate. And then of course, certain things will have to be allocated elsewhere. And then we have to balance off our budget and our time, resources and effort for next year, 2023. So in terms of country-wise, we can always look at country and then us. How does it connect? Yeah, not necessarily that they are so big that, that's on a macro scale. No, but we can learn how people control costs on this side, how they reallocate to what is important. Then we think about it and say, yeah, actually, that's a good point. Why didn't I allocate money to where it really matters rather than I just want to spend anyhow I want. Then by middle of the year, no more money, that kind of thing. Yeah. Right. So I feel that budget, yes, definitely very important. Set it aside. Make sure you have enough money budgeted for the whole year for marketing and advertising, because and lead generation. Of course, I think this whole thing is together. Because if that is not done, then you're going to find yourself, not the country, yourself stuck along the way. And I don't know whether anyone can lend you a helping hand in that time. So it's very wise for all of us to look at what the government is doing. You see, they talk about targeted subsidy. They will talk about reallocation. They talk about putting cost of living first. You already know they're talking about priorities already. These are all priorities. Which one is more important? Not simply, okay, just because I have 10 departments, all 10 departments get 10 million or 100 million. No. Different ministry, different budget, depending on priority and importance. Same thing in our life. Which one is priority? Yeah, for next year, 2023. Then we allocate how we want to put our time, effort, and our resources.
Wow.
Right.
So, wow. Thanks for sharing. Actually, it reminds me of this word, the GPS, right? The goal, priorities, and our strategies, right? It looks like it's really important for us to actually bring that out again to replan for the whole of next year. Sorry, John, you're going to say something?
Yeah, I want to just add on to what I actually say. You bring a very good point. How the government is reallocating resources and focusing on the priority that moves the needle and makes sense. Here's what I observe most real estate agents do during season and financial stress seasons like this. They stop doing business. They cut expense in business. They say the bucket is bad, don't spend so much money. You must find the right time to spend money and go. I would appeal to you not to have that mindset. The real thing to do, this is what I would think all of us should be doing. The first thing you should cut is your personal expense first. Because the natural thing that most agents will do is they go and try to cut their business expense first, then don't look at personal expense. I will ask you to look at personal expense first, because your business expense brings you income. Your personal expense spends your income. So if you this is the principle of accounting, where there's revenue, there must be expense. If you want to earn X amount of revenue, you must spend Y amount of expense. So this is where most agents don't think that way. They just cut. I'm very fearful. I'm cutting everything, but yet next day they're still going to Hai Di Lao and eat steamboat. They still go to the Starbucks and have that drink for 25 ringgit. By the way, Starbucks will increase in price because the truck price goes up, the petrol price goes up, everything goes up, right? Suddenly, I don't remember how much is the cost right now. It's 18 ringgit, I think, for ice blended
20
frappuccino.
something. Some of
Right,
it
20
is like,
something, yeah, some 25 ringgit, some maybe suddenly become to 28 ringgit. I remember those days was only 10 ringgit. And we were like struggling, oh shoot, man, 10 ringgit for a drink, don't make sense. But today we are paying 25 ringgit. But we don't see that as an important cut. We see, don't do marketing anymore, that's an important cut. Go to Zeus or coffee. I say
Zeus
to
is
me,
cheaper.
yeah, so I give you a better cheaper one, Nespresso. Cheaper, 2 ringgit per shot. Right? So there is this opportunity for us to relook at our personal life expense first. Cut that expense first. Think from there first. Now, cut your expense doesn't mean go cut your school fees for children. I'm not asking you to do that. There are small things, subscriptions. There are small things like lifestyle changes. Next 1 year, don't think about traveling overseas if you cannot afford to, right? Don't think about that, right? So many things we can do to reduce expense.
Right. So
that is important. That is really important. World Cup over already, consider cutting Astro lah. Right? So I cut a lot of this subscription for many years because I realized when you start pausing all these things, you don't realize how much money you save. So you imagine 1 year I pay 150 ringgit for a subscription, for a television subscription, right? And in 1 year is about I don't know, 2,000 ringgit, right? That 2,000 ringgit can spend for marketing in my business. What's the return of the 2,000 ringgit, right? So sometimes we do not see this. We always think business don't do well, we cut business first. Think about cutting your personal expense, then look at your business expense. Because if you don't do it this way, I will promise you it's not a good cut. It's not a good adjustment. So I like what Cheng is saying, that manage expectation of your expenses personally first, your family, then go into only, yes, thank you very much. The same price as KW Activate.
Exactly.
Right? So you say, oh, so expensive, but then we paying something. Some people tell me, oh, I don't use KW Activate every day. Like some people also don't watch Astro every day, right? But yet you are still paying that person money. So it's interesting for us to relook at the way we spend money. And it always starts from ourselves, not our business.
Oh, interesting. So by looking into our personal expenses first and kind of adjusting it from there, then only the business part. Interesting. So kind of looking, so it's a matter of really just a change of mindset as well. I think most of us are very used to just cutting the business part because we still want to stay comfortable wherever we are, or maintaining that level of quality of life that we've been used to, right? So do you think that there could be some adjustments in this? I don't think it's only just for 1 year, right?
Yeah. So quality of life is very subjective.
Yeah.
Get real, get right. Ask yourself what you need to do the next 1 to 2 years. And focus on that, right? So, but your question is, so what's the question again?
What's the outlook of Malaysian economy? But you wrote on what I changed that just now. Right.
I think 6 months is a good buffer time for us to see some changes. I think it's the dynamic is moving very fast. The landscape is changing a little bit because of the uniqueness of this new establishment of this government. It's very hard to anticipate compared to what we have last time. Because last time was quite traditional. Today we are kind of like in a different dynamic, right? So it's important to see some of these tough, difficult decisions that the government make. How would that impact? We don't know what is it like. We don't know how are they planning it, right? But I would think this is like the first year where we will see a lot of changes in certain key policies that will impact us. Now, how the impact looks like to us, we don't know. Now, the impact can be 2 ways. It could be, short-term impact on our spending and our ability to spend, our disposable income drop. But suddenly what will happen is, foreign investment coming by the bulks. Then you can see there's a different landscape already. So when the foreign investments comes in, because we do need foreign investments, we definitely need them. That changes the whole landscape and focusing on how to get high-paying jobs. So what if some of these things bring in high-paying jobs? right? It changes the whole, again, it changes the whole. So we have to sit down and see the next 6 months, what will happen, but to buffer ourselves for 6 months. I would put a budget to buffer myself, be careful what I spend, don't spend, should spend for the next 6 months, to see what are the indicators. And we should sit down and have this conversation again in June. And just go through what has happened, right? What would there be GST coming back? I don't know. Would there be this coming back? I don't know. Would there be a policy to clear all the overhang stock? I don't know. Right? But we need to sit down. But 6 months of this pain or these growing pains, and I think it's a good thing. It's like the body is healing. You have a bit of pain when it's healing, right? So healing needs for us to go through that therapeutic process of managing the pain, right? So expect pain and manage it for 6 months.
Right. And this pain is not necessary for the worse. It's actually for the good,
it's
right?
Better.
Yeah, it's for the good. Oh, interesting perspectives. Now, as we're talking more about how it's really impacting us as agents or something closer to home, I would like to hear from you, right? How would this potentially impact the property line and the business overall, given your experience also in the real estate industry for so long?
Okay, I believe that all of us are aware that the real estate sector is one of the key sectors for to stir the economy. That's why a lot of budget and allocation and incentives are used to move this sector. So I don't think much would change because the first-time home buyer stamp duty exemption is valid until 2025. So I don't think that's going to change. The first for the 500,000, right? And then the 500,000 to a million one, I think under PM Sabri, he did say that it's until next year, 2023, December, that there'll be a 50% discount. So there's no change to that. And I don't think they will retract that either. But whether they will extend that or make it a 75%, as what was stated earlier in the proposed budget for 2023, that is to be seen once they retabled it in January. So given that, you already know that the priority of the government is always on first-time home buyers. They're not really there to protect second-time home buyers, third-time home buyers, or fourth-time home buyers, because they just, because you have to remember the national policy of the country is to take care of the individual rakyat, just to give you the sufficient thing that you need to do, to live and to do your business or to work and things like that. So they're not there to give you prosperity. I think sometimes we get the wrong idea that, oh, you see this government now making, not helping me make money. I don't think that's their role. So the government is not there to help us. I don't think that's the mission of the country. The country is to give us defense, to keep us safe, and to ensure that we have a roof over our head. I think which they will definitely put priority on that things. So don't expect them to go all the way to help investors and things like that. So I don't think that would be in their budget for 2023. So when you come about property sector, depend on that. The RPGT, okay, there's no change. There was no proposed change either. So perhaps that would remain. And even if they did increase it and say that, it's 30-20 or whatever, zero thereafter, or they increase it back to 5% or whatever, I don't think that's of major impact because whatever properties that were purchased in the last 5 years, I don't think there'll be any impact on the sellers because the probably didn't go that much higher anyway. So I feel that for all of us that knowing that the country is going through adjustments, let's not depend on what they're going to give us to sustain our life or to help us do better or help us live better. We have to depend on ourselves for this. And knowing that certain subsidies may be removed, like John was saying about the petrol may go up, I think our budget should set aside for that. Because as real estate agents, we need this. We cannot say now, I'm not going to drive and meet I'm not going to do for viewing. We're just going to do, I don't know, Zoom viewing or something. I don't know. But no, when you want to close a sale, you still have to meet the customer. You still have to talk to them, you still have to, just get in there so that they can feel the energy and then they can make that decision to buy or to sell or whatever the decision is required. So certain things we can never cut. The important elements we can never cut. We must increase budget for that, in fact. And then for and in terms of like so if you ask me, I don't really feel that the budget 2023 will have too much incentive for property sector. I don't even think they'll do anything for the overhang. I feel that they were just going to leave it as it is because there's just too many other cost of living matters to look at first. Yeah.
Mm.
So don't be alarmed if there is no incentive for property sector other than the two that I just mentioned, that's already in place. That will come into the year 2023 lah. Although MIEA, we said a lot of things. We wanted a home ownership campaign for the secondary sector. We wanted to group everything together and really boost the secondary market, because I always feel that secondary market drives the primary market, but nobody else seems to hold their same opinion. So nobody wants to spur the secondary market, and they only want to help the primary market. So, but I always feel that the strength of the property sector is always in the secondary market. If the secondary market property prices keep going up, why people won't buy primary market? It's actually that way, not the other way, So I mean, for the longest time, MIEA has been trying to vocalize that, and also to propose a memorandum to the Minister of Finance, as well as the relevant ministries, to just let them know that really want to spur the secondary market. And MIEA, we are willing to help. We can orchestrate the mega whatever home ownership campaign for the secondary market throughout the country in order to spur lah. And I think that just by those few things, the stamp duty exemption already in place, the RPGT, and then maybe the step-up loans, like the banks, already in place, and maybe one or two other small things, and then we can do a proper program really. Because you give people a little bit, like you give them rice by themselves, and then chicken by themselves, and then maybe some sauce. They don't know how to mix the whole thing together and see, wow, actually this thing makes chicken rice. But no, now they say, okay, this rice, what am I going to do with this stamp duty? I don't know. Then this chicken you're giving me, I don't know what am I going to do with the chicken. If you put it all together, then you get a value meal. But so now the market has not come together to realize the incentives that have been put in place. So, I mean,
they're not aware. Yeah.
They don't know how to put it all together. It's all now, a
little bit here and there.
Yeah, here and there. Just put into a name in a program. Yeah.
Oh yeah, interesting points. John, you wanted to add something?
Yeah. So I think I echo what Ajin is saying, that we cannot have policy that treats property like commodities. Very dangerous. Because property is a need, it's not a commodity. Now, you can have certain segment of that market, allowing them to trade that way, that's fine. I give a good example of how a good real estate policy, and I think we lack that good, clarified, wholesome real estate policy in this country. I give an example of our neighbor Singapore. Very good policy for private housing, public housing, HDB flats. That to me is the most brilliant policy that they ran since the beginning of the nation, founding of the nation, because they wanted everyone to own a part of Singapore. If you read how Lee Kuan Yew think about the countries, how can I let everyone own a piece of this so that they feel they are part of this country? And I think it's the same issue for every country. So having a very clear policy, that government-driven one, not asking the private sector to come in and do this together kind of thing, but government-driven one for public housing, and then clear policy in how you do control for private housing. Right now, we have people who wants to own a home, but they got no choice but to go and buy certain things that potentially can be overpriced or priced out of the market, right? Because there's no supply for the kind of prices of property that is in the affordability range of the majority. This is a fact. Right. So how do you have a clear policy in land control, in land release, in how many plants you want to remove, how many building plans you want to approve a year, right? How you control supply and demand, right? Because you don't want too many supply and no demand, or demand and supply not being met based on the affordability, right? So I feel that there's a holistic policy that needs to be crafted. That the challenge is between the finance ministry and the housing ministry. It's two ministries trying to. So I don't understand why it's separated this way, but it's like two ministries trying to kind of come together, right? That's the first thing. And I think we need a new policy for data or information about transaction. We really need a new clear policy about that, that is transparent to the public. I feel we need transparency. And again, there are so many models out there to follow. This company talks about system and models, right? Imagine we are having the same model like the URA Singapore model. Everything is transparent. The minute you put in a transaction, 2 weeks, it will be posted. You're very
Everyone
clear.
can see.
Rental transaction is so what you want is data flowing out to bring the market to transparency. Then whoever is building will understand, okay, don't build this market because nobody's going to buy. Everybody is still here. The data gives us the transparency. Right now, it's very feeling based. It's very profit based. It's treating the market like a commodity. So that's where the danger is that we are in right now. So I think we need to have a new holistic policy of how we look at the whole real estate market in this country. Now, having said that, putting that aside, to me, is a systemic thing that needs a lot of conversation, a lot of stakeholders involved to change that. Now, even you put that aside, and I don't think it will be changed in one term of government. I think you need a couple of terms of government to change. I truly believe it. But what needs to happen is you need to improve the macroeconomic first. Because once macroeconomy improves, jobs are secure, high-paying jobs are coming in, people got more disposable income. It solves many problems. So growth of the economy is necessary to solve a lot of problems. It's better to solve growth problems than to solve non-growth problems. Because so if you think about it this way, if I only got one bucket of money to spend to change something in this country, do I do something to bring in more money or I do something to save more money? You have no choice. You have to make a decision right now. So that's the same mindset. And I think if the government is correct, don't be bothered by so many internal things. Focus on improving the economy, getting more investors in. Because when you have a strong, stable economy, you can solve a lot more problems.
Because it builds a foundation, right?
Yes, because everybody is able to sustain their life. You must sustain first. Because if you don't sustain and you don't grow, your problems will keep coming up. And there will always be problems to solve. But the fundamental problem is, can we afford to pay our bills? Right? Can the racket afford to go on like this? So that's the challenge. So I think, I don't know why we're coming here, but this is just my overview thought, that we cannot have policies to treat market like a commodity, to trade properties. We don't do that. That's very dangerous. So in Singapore, you can see about 21% is really a commodity market. It's really the foreign people playing and trading, and that's fine. But as a local Singaporean, I can still buy a HDB flat if I really want to. I can still have and there's a separate market in the HDB. There's a secondary market in the HDB moving on. It's very healthy. And honestly, if you're going to Singapore, it is very respectable for me to say I'm staying in a HDB. It's okay, right? So can we change that mindset, right? Affordable housing doesn't have to be in the slums. So if you think through and think about disrupting the whole thing, right? Solve public housing problem, move on to private housing problem, then you solve a lot of problems already, and the data problem. So some people ask me, what is your wish list? I wish that the government solve two problems for property. Number one, create a policy to make the whole data transparent. If you don't know how to do it, outsource to someone else to do it. There are a lot of people willing to do this. Number two, solve the public housing problem. Solve that problem. And I would say follow the model. Follow a model, don't do it on your own. There are many successful models around the world that has this model. And Singapore is next to us. It's so easy to copy. One may argue every state is different. I agree. Land is a state matter, but federal matter, you can create certain laws to change certain things, and put the state government in partnership with you, right? That is where we need to think about public housing solution. Then you solve that problem. You don't have people who are priced out of the market. Yeah. That's what I think. That's what I think needs to happen in the economy for the real estate market.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm hearing transparency of data. I think that would really change a lot, even on how agents do their business. Things are faster. You receive information faster. You can close deals better, right? So all this will actually be an impact even to our agents, right? Almost immediately. Public housing problems. So sounds like John can actually be a nominee for the cabinet in the next round. Okay, we have some questions here. Just going to pause for all. Thanks, John, for sharing. So yeah, we have this question from Shah Mohammed. Would it help if MIEA proposed government to allow first-time home house buyers who desperately needs joint name of second house buyers for loan to qualify for MOT exemption? I assume this question is for Cheng.
Yeah, at the moment it's just the first time home buyers, right? Because so this is the second home buyer's name to be in for the loan purpose only, is it? Okay, I can look into it. I can look into that, but I don't. I think as it stands right now, it's first time home buyers all the way, lah. But I don't see an issue with this because the owner, I mean, the buyer is still the first time home buyer, right? It's not the second guy. But he's just basically a guarantor for the loan. I got to check with the banks. I am not too sure about this. Let me get back to you on that, Shah.
Wow, interesting. Yeah. It could be your Christmas present, Shah.
Let me get back to you on this. I believe this one could be Yeah, I have to check. I'll get back to you. I'm not too sure.
Nice. So Aishin's gonna give us a check on this. Okay, we have a second question. I'm not sure if we're ready to answer this now. John, love to hear 2 things you want to solve in KW Malaysia in 2023.
Right. Number 1, grow the business. Growth solve all problems. Growth put us into a different perspective, increases our capacity, increases our resilience, increases the opportunity for us. Grow. Now, in the KW Malaysia perspective, it's always growing agent count and all that, new market centers and all that, right? But growing business is very critical. Have a mindset of how do you grow number of transactions that you do. So the first thing is that we need to, as a company, we need to grow our market, we need to grow our agent count, we need to grow our market share. That's for sure. Number 2 is how do I help agents grow their business? Because I must show a role model of growing in order for me to earn the right to teach people about growing. Because you can never be safe and win the game. So if you all follow the Argentina game yesterday, if you all watch football, for those who watch football, I know Cheng don't watch football.
I know
Wei-Li don't watch football. But those who watch football, tell me what your observation when the whistle starts, the referee blew the whistle in the beginning of the game. How did the Argentina team behave? Put in the chat box.
He's testing everyone out to see if you guys watch.
Maybe those people who watch are sleeping. This one never sleep when they didn't watch. What was your observation about Argentina? Okay, nobody watched football. Okay. Early goal stress. In the first 5 minutes, they were pressing all the way and attacking all the way. They were full on. It's a do or die. I need to make attacking mode right now. Now, by the way, France is a very fast-paced attacking team. They are very famous for attacking players as well. But you can see that Argentina went all out to press. They went all out to press. When Mbappe gets the ball, 3 players go to him. The first 30 minutes, France couldn't even go to the other side of the field. They closed them out straight away. They attacked. So in order for us to help agents, one of the things is you need to think about how to attack the market. Have a great goalkeeper behind 4 good defenders, but think about how to attack. And everybody should think about how to attack. You save money to attack, not save money to stay safe. That's why I'm saying I am saving money not to put into marketing, but I'm still going to make 10 phone calls a day. Right? So you've got to think like that. And that's how I'm doing it right now in the region, right? We are thinking about how do we minus expense, cut costs, but yet not sit back and wait for things to happen. That's the danger in a crisis, right? We always sit back and see what will happen. We didn't sit back. We will not sit back. So what are the 2 things? Number 1, grow our region's business. Number 2, help agents like yourself, Joanne, to grow your business. You got to think ahead. How do I do less with more? How do I spend less but yet do more? Right? So growing business is very important. These are the 2 things that I want to focus on because I know if I help agents to grow business, agents will join us. It's as simple as that. And growing business is very subjective. Some people say, I want to grow 10%. Some people say, I want to grow 30%. Whatever the growth you are in, you need to be thinking about growth next year. Do not play defense. Defense is not fun. Defense is boring. Defense may be less scarier, easier for us to, work on. But most of the time, you cannot win a game by playing defense. You just don't. That's not how you win games. Who is the highest paid person on the field? Is it the goalkeeper or the striker? Anyone? Is the goalkeeper the highest paid or the striker the highest? Because the goalkeeper score goals.
Attack is the best defense. Ooh.
Exactly. One of my football coach used to tell me this. The first defender is the striker. If you kept the ball on the other side of the goal, the ball won't come here. You don't need a defender anymore. The first defender is the striker. You don't strike, right? You are letting your team down. So think about how to attack, strike, and yet at the same time be lean. Be lean, be mean, right? In how you do your business next coming year. The two things I mean, it's very clear. I'm very clear. Grow the business despite of what. Be lean, but grow your business. Help agents to grow their business.
So it sounds like also just being very wise in terms of how we are managing our budgets at the same time. So that is something that is very important and crucial next year. And growth is always a constant. It looks like it doesn't change too much from where we are, but we still want to grow more, right? Okay, yes. So I think, okay, we will keep that question for the last one as we wrap up some of the other questions. Joanne will get to you shortly. Joanne is on an attacking mode right now. Striking mode, which is really good. I always like her questions. Right. So okay. So as we're talking about agents right now, you're talking about how agents can prepare moving forward for what's happening, right? What other ways or other things that they should be preparing for, especially with this year coming and the new economy? Maybe we can hear from Cheng as well, and then John can also chip in.
What do you mean? Could you say that again?
Yeah, how can agents now prepare moving forward for especially with this year, 2023? How can agents prepare themselves? So budgeting is one thing that we're hearing a lot, right? What else can they do? So we're hearing attacking, right? Attacking is also another thing. Yeah.
All right. Very important. In times of uncertainty, do not go too far into the exploratory dimension. So let's say you are very strong in residential market. Don't suddenly next year say, I think I'm going to do industrial now. Yeah, I think everybody say that that's a good market. I'm going to go into it.
Interesting.
I actually feel that not that it's bad. I'm not saying that it's not a right move, but whether that's the right move for you next year, that is the question I think we need to sit back and consider. And every segment of the market has its own unique, way to play the game. So you have always been playing the residential game. You know how that game is played. When you want to jump into another game, you now need to understand the whole thing all over again. You're basically starting from ground zero and trying to move back up. So that time, do you have it or not? If you have the buffer, the money and the sufficient resources to buffer that period of your learning, maybe it could be 6 months or more, then okay, I say you can go ahead and explore whatever markets you want. But if let's say your own territory, which is the secondary market, or let's say you're doing, properties in Subang Jaya, and you say that, no, I think I'm going to quit that this next year, and I'm going to go and explore Damansara Heights now. Oh, that is again a different play,
Right.
So I don't really feel that next year is the time for you to try to explore yourself, but it's the time for you to enhance yourself in where you are. Okay, don't be complacent. Let me say, I'm tired of doing Subang Jaya houses. Boring. I want to do something else. Maybe hold that thought, and defer that maybe for a year. Yeah, just hold that thought and just do what you're really good at. If you're already very good in project marketing, just keep to it. You have a strength that maybe others don't. Why are you giving up that strength to go and chase for something else that somebody else have that may not be suitable for you? So I feel that we all have that something that is special to us. And that's something that no one can take it so easily. So why, instead of enhancing on our strength, we want to go and work on our weaknesses? I don't think we have time. Many years ago when we were kids, right? My teacher always say, work on your weakness. I was thinking to myself, wow, I don't know what I was bad at. I think I was sports. Okay, I'm really bad at sports. Okay, obviously, I think everybody can tell.
Chinese school mentality.
Sports. And they say, no, you have to work on your weaknesses. You have to practice harder and all that. I was thinking to myself, oh no, I don't think this is the way I want to take my life. But then after that, over the years, you learn of people's different philosophies and say that, hey, forget your weakness. You have no time to go and work on it. Just enhance your strength further. Get someone else or team up with someone who can help you with your weakness. Because there are certain things that we just cannot do. Some people are very analytical. Some people are not. Some people are very, different. So you have to put it all together. That's where the team and collaboration happens. I know there are some agents out there in the marketplace. They're very good at listing, but it's somehow not very good at finding buyers or tenants. But they know how to collaborate. All these agents that have a lot of these buyers and tenants, and they've been closing deals happily. Some agents only have, I don't know what, if you only have buyers in your hand, then I say you're a fantastic agent. With the buyers in your hand right now, you can work with how many listing agents, who have the listings that your buyers will want to buy. So we don't want to go and spend time on exploratory next year. I don't feel that is the right way for you. I mean, if you have the buffer, like I said, go ahead, but otherwise don't do that. Focus on what you're good at, enhance it. So if you're focusing in Subang Jaya, then enhance it. How do I do better in this? How from 2 sale a month, I can make that 3, or how from 3 sale a month, I can make that 4 in, even a challenging market. How do I do that? Rather than thinking, I can make more money doing industrial property. I think I should go and jump there. So if you ask me, for agents, focus on your strength, hold on to your area of focus, and where you have set your goals and farm at all these years. Don't just give that up for something that looks shinier on the other side. The grass is not always greener on the other side. I've been telling agents all my life, it's not. Some people say, oh, this company is better than that company is better. I say the grass always looks greener.
Right.
Until you go to the other side, they say, oh, no, I think I want my old grass back. Yeah, anyway, that's my thoughts.
Very, very interesting words of wisdom, I feel like. Also speaking, so don't jump, keep the exploring for a later stage, right? So this next year is probably not the right year to do that. And I'm hearing this comes also from her experience with all the other agents that she's walked through and journeyed with in the past. And sometimes the jump itself would take more time than you think. And this next year is just not the best time to do so, right? Wow, interesting. And I hear a lot of what I'm hearing is also potentially, do you think that maybe people could also leverage on maybe forming more teams instead of running more solo?
Yeah, definitely. The way forward is collaborative. When I first started real estate in 1999,
wow, I was how old?
And we listed our own property, we marketed, we sell ourselves. Hardly we want to work with another agent to do the deal. We do everything ourselves. Yeah. But from there, 1999 until today, 2022, the amount of transactions now that is co-agency and working in collaboration mode has changed dramatically. Maybe last time it was like 20% out of, maybe 2 out of 10 deals you did co-agent. Today, I think it's easily 6 out of 10 deals is collaborative, maybe even 7. I don't know, you guys can analyze your own transactions, but I feel that the numbers over the years has gone definitely more collaborative than solo.
So working together, coming together a bit more. Yeah, I was thinking our agent sites, right? There's opportunities to co-broke and work together a lot more with just our agent sites. And that's, I think, an advantage that our agents can actually start making use of for themselves coming year. John, thank you so much, I-Ching. John, any of your thoughts hearing from what I-Ching shared just now?
Yeah, I couldn't agree more that my observations in this market for the past 18 years is people get better at what they do. They keep on doing the same thing. Now, why? I don't mean the same approach, but the same business, right? They grow from where they are. They be focused on doing that very well. Next year, if you want to succeed at a very high level, be very clear what's your 20%. Following an 80-20 rule, right? 20% gives you the 80% of the outcome. What's your top 20%? What is it that will help you move your needle? I'll give you an example. In order for the region to own more business, to recruit more agents, bring more market center opportunity in, right? It depends on how many people I talk to. It's as simple as that. It doesn't mean I need to show people how nice my t-shirt is. I need to show people how great our video is. I need to show people how great our storyboard is. How do we pitch and all that? It's not that. For me, our business, and I speak for myself, the way I think about my business is how many people I get to sit down and talk to every day. That's my 20%, no. My 20% should be thinking about how do I talk to more people to hit my goal, to recruit and to bring in more market centers. If you are a real estate agent today, your goal should be how do you get better listings? set better appointments for buyers. If you're a listing agent, your number one role should be how do you get the most listing that is priced correctly. It's as simple as that. Do not get distracted. When we are in a crisis, there are a lot of distractions. And I hear agents saying this way, what is the best way to do this? What is the best way to do that? Now, you won't know until you do it.
Yeah.
Right? And nothing beats using this powerful tool called the mobile phone or the phone.
I thought he was going to bring his calculator.
Yeah, I don't have house phone anymore. I really don't have a house phone anymore. So I only got a mobile phone. And I tell you an experience I had recently, and I will pass it back to you, Wei-Li, very fast. This experience we had. We sat down in the group when we had the Asia Summit. After Asia Summit, we had a mastermind for all Asian regional leadership. Right? So Bill Sotorov, JP, April, Ben Elvira, they all came and give us this 2 days, I think it was 2 days, full workshop. Day 2, they threw us a challenge. They said, you all talk about all the problems and all that, right? Let's solve the problem today. Let's do something that can solve the problem today. He gave us 30 minutes, give us a script, asked us to call agents that we want to recruit. All of us, everyone, including myself, and all our original team, 10 of them, every one of them set appointments that day. I'm not kidding you. Everybody set appointments that day because they just put their 30 minutes down, make their calls. I make 6 appointments. I met 5 people that week. That's the 20% of my business. Ask yourself your question right now. What's your 20%? Sometimes you get caught up doing so many things. Too much distraction. Focus on the one that makes you the most, move your needle up faster. Get you more listings. Get you more things. Yes, even Marcus managed to get to 2 appointments.
Wow, Marcus.
Like Marcus is like not the least salesperson. He's not a salesperson, right? But he can secure 2 appointments, guys, because he's just doing the one thing, that 20% thing that will move the needle. Go find out what is that and go do it. If Marcus can, you can. Right? You've got no excuse. And sometimes we hide from excuse. We hide from this thing. We don't want to make the phone call. We see people are not interested. That is not true. that is a limiting belief. You just have to go out and find people. I always tell people in the whole of Klang Valley, there's 7 million people. Whole Klang Valley, 7 million people, 30 million people. Yes, script makes a difference, but I think doing it makes more difference. Consistently doing it, your script will be so natural. Yes, you have a script to start out first, but you just keep doing it. If you have a team of people today, every single day set a 30 minutes time to do this together. Trust me, we are asking all the market center leadership to look at this right now. Focus on your 20% that move the needle, nothing else. When you focus and be clear about your 20%, I promise you your life is much better. You will do less and you will earn more. That's my promise to you.
Wow, that's a promise to you. So if you do this, it's like almost like a formula that he's saying, right? If you really do this, what I'm hearing also from a combination of what Aichin shared and John, I guess if you focus on your strengths with that 20%, that's your and your 20%, I think you will go really far. I think that would also make a huge change in how your business will be for the next year. Just your 20% and your strengths for next year. I think even for us, wherever we are, I think that would help us tremendously, right? Thank you so much for sharing.
Really, I wanted to say something.
Yes.
Sometimes as agents, I understand exactly because we all went through that whole process since 1999 until today, right? We sometimes just want that magic pill. If you ask me, I always share this. I said I wish that sometimes I can just find that so easy thing that I can do that I don't, wow, magically my sales improve, magically I get better listings and everything. But I hate to burst your bubble, but there's no such thing. Yeah. There is no magic pill. You know what's the magic pill? Actually, there is. But it's no magic to any one of us. It's hard work. It's hard work. If all of us think that it's going to be easy, that I can just kick back, relax, and all these things, and then achieve the success that I want, and all those, the $1 million agents that we see in in MIEA's awards and all that, company awards and all that, do you think they achieve it just because they had a magic pill? They just ate it, and then they just sat down, relaxed, and then the durian runtuh on them? No lah. I think we just got to get rid of that thought that hard work is not required, that there's a easy shortcut elevator to success. You know, as my dad always say, he quoted, I don't know, is it Zig Ziglar? The elevator of success has broken down. Use the stairs. Yeah, one step at a time. Just get there one step at a time. I know it's boring. And I tell you, if you ask me what Jonathan just said about making those calls, if you ask me personally, I hate it.
Yeah.
I hate it. Tell me who loves telemarketing? Who loves calling customers and say, oh, we prefer just message them and just let it be. And if they respond, great. If not, never mind. Just as well. I don't have to fear the rejection or whatever. But we don't like it. But sometimes it's the thing that we don't like to do that is that needed thing that you really need to get your business to the next level. So I think next year, if there's anything you need to change, it's just to pick up that phone and call someone.
That's right.
I mean, that's a message I'm sending to myself as well. But definitely it's not something I like to do. Okay, I honestly must say it. And I can connect. I believe everyone here in this room also don't like it. But it's a necessary, how to say,
necessary step to take.
Is it a necessary evil?
Let me just add on to that. When we say hard work, right, a lot of us have this idea of hard work that I potentially think may not be the truth. We think about hard work is that we must be hard labor, must work 10 hours a day. It is not like that. Hard work is working on things that is so difficult that you do it consistently every day. I give you an example. If you just set 30 minutes a day to talk to 10, 20 people on your phone, that hard work you do is the smartest hard work you can do every single day. You don't have to toil the ground. You don't have to take the shovel and dig up every single cent that you have. You want to have a consistent, hardworking behavior. Right? And it's boring. It's consistent, it's boring. So be prepared for absolute repetitious boredom.
Wow. Repetitious boredom, that works.
To be successful. I give you an example. Yesterday in the football game, I like football a lot. So I tell you football, those who follow the football game, who scored the second goal for France? Anyone?
Ask the guys.
Anyone? Please.
Okay,
Mbappe. Thank you. Mbappe scored the second goal for France. By the way, that was his first shot on target. Imagine strikers practicing every single day how to shot, how to volley, how to shot, how to volley, how to shot, how to volley. Just perfect it every day. It's very boring, by the way, guys. But when the moment comes, he scored. And it was a very difficult shot he made yesterday. It was a moving ball. It was elevated ball. And it was a beautiful goal, but it was not simple to execute. The reason why he could execute at a high level with the one chance is because he keep practicing every day. It's basically doing boring stuff every day, right? So being boring is necessary, it's expected in your business. So just want to add what to actually say, don't expect hardworking as must put 10 hours a day, must call 1,000 people a day. You don't have to do that, right? Call 20 people a day, call 5 people a day, call 1 person a day. Do that consistently, you will see yourself getting better. Do not be distracted by things that are not boring. Exciting things doesn't mean it's nice for you. There you go.
Thanks for sharing. So it's really about time blocking, guys. Time block the 30 minutes every single day, or as long as it's in your calendar, then you will do it, right? So I think this is something that we need to start focusing on and shifting our mindsets. Thank you so much for sharing that. Due to time, we will probably need to wrap up. I know we can really just go on and on because it's such an interesting topic and kind of a lot of things that we want to share as well. So before we share some final words, maybe if I can have the announcement slides with no extra time today. All right, okay, just before we wrap up, I'm just gonna let you guys know, okay, do seize this opportunity because before the end of 31st, it is still priced at 110 per scan, but it's gonna increase after 1st January onwards, right? So do seize the opportunity, buy in bulk, you can actually buy them now and you don't have to use it immediately, right? So, okay, everyone just take note of this. This is your KW 360 scan. Okay, next slide, please. All right, so yes, we still have touch points ready for you guys. So do download them from KW Happenings. This is like the thank you note slide, right? Then can we have the other slide? Okay, so do remember that we have launched KW Central. I know a lot of you have probably not tried this out yet. If you have any questions, please speak to your MCF. I think we're going to do a full-on launch rollout in January as well. And there's going to be a lot more training on how you guys can use this. Do stay tuned for that, but you can also start checking it out already by downloading it and also going to the sites. Right, that's all for announcements. So now we're going to come back with some final thoughts just to wrap up, right? John and Cheng, any excitement or that we can all look forward to next year, especially for our agents in 2023?
Cheng going to start first.
John's thinking.
Yeah, maybe they're more excited with you talking than me.
So. I haven't thought of for next year 2023 I think I basically said what is important. Don't get distracted by what's happening around you, not even by the agents around you. Everyone can say a lot of things, but at the end of the day, I think all of us deep down, we know what we need to do in order to gain success in this business. So don't hesitate and don't procrastinate. Just do it.
Wow. And don't complicate, right?
Yeah.
Just do it. Thanks
right.
for sharing.
So for me, the exciting thing next year is happening is I am anticipating a huge reset in our nation in terms of how economy is done, which means sometimes our business need to be reset. Sometimes we need to go through certain changes, certain resets in order for us to move on to the next chapter, right? So potentially all of us must be prepared for some sort of reset anyway. The way we look at our lifestyle, the way we look at expenses, the way we look at how we behave and do certain things, I think it is due for a reset. Be open-minded and be open to think about this change. And let me tell you, the change would be more drastic than we expected in general. But I think if you look at the long run horizon, next 2 to 3 years, you will find that it's actually a better change. The good news is it should be the change for better. Right? I'm very hopeful. So I put that element of hope inside, right? To be excited about hopeful. First time I ever felt so hopeful about the country and hopeful about the economy. I feel very hopeful. Very, very hopeful. How does this translate in 1 year? Maybe we can't solve every problem in 1 year. Maybe 2 years, maybe 3 years. But we are on that trajectory to change. And I think we should do that for our own businesses as well. Think about how can you reset certain things that will help you move your needle. Don't stay put where you are. You will need to change, remargin, re-cost, cut everything, whatever, or add everything, whatever. Think about resetting 2023, because I feel it's in alignment with what's going on in the country. Some things will change, right? So we have to reset. So my biggest word for next year is reset.
Wow, reset. That's a big word. Before we end this year, John, as the CEO of KW Malaysia, we'd like to sing us a song now, King. Okay, any last word wishing everyone just before we wrap up this year and before you see them again in 2023?
Yes. So I want to thank everyone for a great 2022. It has been full of challenges, full of joy, full of new talent joining us. So thankful for people like Cheng being part of our leadership team to add so much value for us. So many of these new people that join us. Some of you are new. Some of you have been here for many, many years. I feel that it has been a great year for us, despite of what's happening, right? And I think that as we end this year, we always end the season of hope, which is Christmas. The greatest time to celebrate with your family and loved ones is Christmas. You won't have a white Christmas because there's no white Christmas in Malaysia. But you can celebrate this time of season of hope. Be hopeful, rest well, play well with your family, spend some time with your loved ones, recharge, and go for the reset next year. I wish everyone a blessed Christmas, very happy New Year. That this New Year and this Christmas will give you that joy, unspeakable joy for you and your family. And I pray that you will have a great year ahead as we enter into the new year. Thank you so much, everyone.
Wow, thank you so much, John. Thank you so much, Cheng. Okay, Merry Christmas, everyone, and have a good rest of the year. We'll see you guys again next year. Okay, take care. Bye.